So, cat countdown, we're at T-0.5, right? The final seal of a stance on being on nobody's side, on the side of simply neutral balance, on the side of actuality. That has been rolled out, and the only remaining thing is the final wrap-up announcement, the dusk and sunset reel that I've just compressed. Need to sub it and then it's done and done. On the Kernel Drops side, there's a lot of interesting old material just put together from the Tempora Mors series, right? Third installment on whether I'm trying to save the world, right? As in actually no, because it's foobar and that's the way y'all pushing it, that's the way the powers are moving by the leaders, and those leaders you cheer, so you know. That's where it goes. It's really very much of a no-brainer at the end of the day and at the end of the times, right? Even I did have to, just with the final stance piece on Be Not Polarized, yeah. The mythic spins, what have you. Famously, you have the Harmageddon, you have the Ragnarökr, Ragnar effing death metal from Stranger Legends, right? That was a hilarious piece with the Jesus Santa face of that. It's all there. And obviously also the Kurukshetra war with the Pandavas and the Kauravas and all the kings of the world aligning into the Axis and the allies or whatever. You have the powers that converge into the ultimate polarization, and at the end of the day, none but battle axes frozen on the fields of ice. Everybody back home, back to Ginnung Gagap, right? Thunder rumbling, someone's revving a chainsaw again. So that's all very appropriate in the spirit of our times. So that was actually a bunch of old friends from the work site taking down what I'm told is a camelina tree. I need to look that up. Had a sort of protrusion toward the part side. You've seen it in any number of the reels. There was a certain presence in it. People in here, they do believe that when a tree ages, it has gains a spirit, an inhabitant, and that one certainly had one, if any one of these trees did. So, you know, okay, sacrifices at the end of times. Oh, cool. So yeah, there are prophetic flavors to all things, and I do exactly see why that is. All the wars and rumors of wars and calamities and rumors thereof, and have you got engineered calamities as well, and the whole rigging is to catalyze everyone who is so enmeshed and wrapped in their little bullshit bubbles, basically. That's why Prophet Muhammad went down the road he did. He had a basically good gig going on. Here's the shared essence, right? Gonna just put down the revelations in my caves and the star that descended and provided a refinement, a perhaps unifying insight into the what the Jews and the Christians of his times were dishing out. Corrupted already systems, hijacked, taken over, dogs taking a shit on the background, all things documented, right? So, and they literally, it's all on record if you read the book in chronological. It's the sequence progression toward the kind of pissed off is rather clear. When all of that is taken and basically tossed into the gutters and pissed on, like literally, then, you know, and when they are rooted in the prime radiant, right? I like these Asimovian expressions on the background, tapping into the collective mind, whatever worth that exists in there. Myths, legends, prophecies, fantasy, fiction, narratives, all the same. It's all about the patterns that are churning in the conscious and in the subconscious mind. And yes, fringe wizard, jeez, gotta drop that bullshit prophecy bar at every end of the line. We had that sporting in the finale for Swag Beard series, right? So it's all been declared. We're above the board here. No one's in a psychosis. Everyone's weaving a loom of narrative patterns in order to point to the what's actually going on underneath the substratum, also the superstratum, not the projections, hallucinations, fog, middle ground that everyone is fiddling with. Nothing is what it seems when you assign subjective importance to it. It's all what it is when you look at it as it is. So that's there. Did slap alpha and the omega symbols, top and bottom, the final reel to make it very clear. Did I even put in a subheading to the cover, terminus reached, right? I mean, it's been T-7 until 0 here. So the terminal has been reached, needs to be subbed and slapped out, and that's the measure of that. The remaining stash for kernel drops until an interval silence will keep on churning for like whatever, a bit short of a 24 hours after the shutdown on the main channel, and then silence in the heavens there shall be, ominous kind of, with a whatever additional ominosity in the comments that plug into it. All in all, it's a trail, many-threaded tail and trail being left there as things wrap up for those who may want to take their journeys on the gifts through via the gifts that were given, shared without asking for anything in return, that were basically rejected both by the algorithm and the human operators that never engaged. They engaged with their favorite brain rots instead. So, as I've noted before, it's been an R&D sort of operation here, also a probing into the collective mind, the reflections of essence, core, what have you, the sort of living fibers of creation that still exist. Do they ring any bells at all on any channels, flipping through the whole channel, surfing, spinning the tuner, see if anything at all clicks. So, I mean, I do have a fairly clear recollection of the 300 something reels, I believe, that I put out. I need to check the numbers. I just dumped 3 third ones still pending albums to my Facebooks with triple covers of all, with screen snaps on the flanks, for whoever that may want to get the picture of the actual volume that was volume and spectrum of what was shared. So I do have a fair idea of how it went, but I do want to go and crunch the numbers, take the tally, see who actually engaged with what, how much, and who all of the howsoever many followers held their silence, could not be bothered. It's not like 1 or 2 reels were dropped. It's like literally 300 plus were dropped, and it all fell to deaf ears. So, you know, so that's a kind of a statement and conclusion on the state of affairs there. That is, by the way, excluding the kernel drops bits that are I mean, yeah, we have kernel drops, like sub 1 minute drops. We have the main foundry publishings that were kind of half of them under the 3 minutes mark into the shorts domains for broader distribution, and then some longer forms, but still not awfully long. If you have 4 to 7 minutes, that's like, if you are still a functioning human being worth dwelling on this planet, then you will have the attention span for something that's relevant for a common cause like that much is worth, right? It's so it seems, right? But the cognitive decay, degradation that happens, it's pretty insane, right? It's a world drunk on the booze of the whore of Babylon and all of that. I have not rebooted the full Revelations churn in the overt. Suppose the patterns are all there, right, in all these T-7 trumpetings and what have you, and the 7 islands and what have you. None of it really crafted. I have not modeled it against anything. I've just done what seems to be a relevant thing to do, and it has all coalesced, coagulated, aggregated, converged, and emerged on its own terms, really. So, as in choiceless awareness. We brought that up a number of times here. So that's all there. And yes, in World Bank updates from Free for All that respect, Jesus and Santa are doing like what the fuck ever that they're doing again, and that's the measure of that. They are churning the poles of heaven and earth toward convergence is what they're all doing. And beasts and dragons and false prophets and so on, they're all also just doing their thing. They are all forces of nature, the evil algorithm dragging, pushing, pulling you into your attention, intention silos. They're all just players on the field, forces of nature. Have you got just now, after the Artemis II came back from the dark side of the moon, you have Donald Trump saying that civilization will be destroyed. He didn't even qualify Iran in his statement. That was so fun, very hilarious. But that's, I suppose, is what he meant. And Iran is again on with all of Middle East. Saudi Arabia will go dark in the retaliation, aftermath, and so on. I haven't read the news yet for today, but you know, it's shit hits the fan majorly, sort of thing. And here we are at T-0 with the last fractions pending, and then it's done and done. So, drop it there. That, friends, is the end of that tree. Still smiling, yeah. So the takeaway there, cut down that distorted, corrupt tree of life, Yggdrasil class purge called for. And yes, at AAII.works and across the board and in countless AI inquiries, it's been iterated to a significant scope. So, you know, whatever you want to do, you want to synchronize it all, or you want to break all the bonds, the primaries have been amply illustrated at this point. Just needs to be ingested and operationalized, and that shall be the tale of that, right? Yeah, so it's been a extraction into the primaries for the last 15 years, really, from the Suspir era, all those Mandalas flying. 12 years, absolutely not related to prophecies, whatever, but you know, it's just the stuff that is, and that's it. And it's all there, and it's increasingly refined. The AAII metacognitive, literally it's the abstraction awareness interface iteration, what the hell ever it's short for, 100 possible names. But you know, it is the tree of emanations from blips and blobs to composites and their interrelations, their cascades, their dependencies. So, you know, whoever so that studies it will find the resolution of their planes of consciousness through progressive iterations into higher metacognitive vantage points, and until but light and shadows remain that release the mutual pull, because you are the puller to your attention, then it's all done and done, right? So operates on any number of planes of existence. So that's that. Footnotes, postscriptums, and yeah, a wrap. Okay? Actual wrap.